The Cold Omaha Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to Procedurally Generated. I'm Henry Bell, and joining me today is Tom Schreier. We're covering a bunch of news this week, including Overwatch's new co-op Brawl, the surprise release of a Bayonetta PC version, the new Minecraft marketplace for third-party content, CD Projekt Red's trademark of the term cyberpunk, an update to the G2A and Gearbox situation, and a whole lot more. But first, I want to get things started with what we've been playing this week. And Tom, correct me if I'm mistaken, but I think both of us have been spending quite a bit of time with the new Ngoro expansion for Hearthstone.
Yeah, no, completely. First of all, it took a lot of time for me to just redo all my decks.
Oh my god, I was so sad. I was just like, every single deck I have is illegal in Standard.
Yeah, let's start with that because I realize most people are there, so either they can identify with it or if they haven't done it yet. I literally had to sit down. I started at the beginning of a Twins game.
You cried for 40 minutes.
What now?
You cried for 40 minutes, and then once you ran out of tears, you took a look at your decks.
And so I was sitting there and I was like, I've got to have a couple where maybe there's 2 or 3 cards. Mm-hmm. I would say it was 4 to 6 cards minimum. Easy. I had to switch.
And they were linchpin cards. It wasn't oh, I can't use my one mana, a couple of my common 1-drops. It's Thessarian is no longer playable. Reno is no longer playable. Fucking the 2 of my favorite expansions and the Argument Tournament are illegal now.
Well, no, and to be fair, this weaned me off Reno, and I had already tried to make a few decks without Reno just because I was getting
Do you play a lot of Reno? I've never actually run a Reno deck.
Okay, yeah. So the Renos I ran, I had I really tried to manipulate the Warlock one because I was like, man, if I could just drain my health down to under 10,
right?
Reno, and it kind of worked, but as I got into higher levels, I got crushed.
Reno Lock is supposed to be one of the better ones.
What now?
I said Reno Lock. It was one of the better ones in the last meta.
Yeah, it's really nice for I ran Reno and Tharizian for a control hunter deck.
Yeah.
Because hunters tend to have really sweet combinations if you have a whole bunch of cards in your hand.
Yeah, especially scavenging buzzard type thing.
Yeah, exactly. And it's nice to have Reno because I feel like I always had less health than I was comfortable with mostly because I tried to collect cards, and that's probably allowing the other team to hit me a few times where I would have otherwise played a card and try to wipe their minions off the board.
Sure, but you're saying you want to keep a couple cards in your hand in case of AoE.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think of where else, but I had Reno in a lot of decks. A lot of decks, and I think I was.
That's good that you don't, because in my opinion, Reno was a bad card for people who are learning to play card games, because Reno encourages you to make a deck that's essentially 30 completely separate cards that destroys all consistency and planning and ability to look forward to certain cards being almost guaranteed to come to you every game and stuff like that. To me, as someone who in Magic, where a playset is actually 4 cards with the same name, I almost always played with full playsets of every card.
Yeah, I think the thing is
it makes it so you can call your next card really easy.
Yeah. No, exactly. And I think you play more play sets than I do, just from listening to the podcast and the times we've been on together.
Yeah. Usually 90% of my decks are play sets.
Yeah, and see, mine's a little bit less, although I got way too far away from it.
For me, it's it's a consistency thing. I want a deck to play the same way every time I play it, if possible.
Yeah, so the deck that I have that's most condensed is a Murloc Association deck with a Shaman, and it's essentially kind of what they give you off the bat, but I tossed out a couple cards and added there's one guy who's a stealth Murloc where if he hits someone and kills them, you can ninja.
Yep. It's like, what is it? It's like Finlock Assassin or something.
Yeah, something like that.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, so I obviously put him in, and I had a few others. I'm trying to think, for dragons it was kind of nice to have him because again, like sometimes I'd be waiting to draw, and I'd be taking damage, and I was like, whatever, I'll just throw Reno, and then I'll drop all my high mana dragons.
Yeah. Finja, the flying star.
Yes. So I think what this did is I'm going to keep Reno in terms of like I may just want to build a wild deck with Reno in it because he's fun. I also kept like I had, and there's no way I'm going to pronounce it, but like I think it's a 1 mana card. It's a Murloc where it
Sir
changes.
Finley Murgleton?
Yeah. Isn't it like a whole bunch of G's and stuff though?
That's how you pronounce the Murloc noise. It's Murgle or Murgle Gurgle. Trust me.
Oh, nice.
Or if you prefer, it's more like...
No, it sounds like I'm, choking or something. But
I don't know what you sound like when you're choking, but Jesus.
It sounds like I have phlegm in my throat or something.
Oh my God.
But anyways, I like that card a lot because anytime you could get the Warlock power with a different card set.
That's interesting. So you really like the Warlock hero power.
Yeah, I really like it. I also really like it in with Murlocs because you kind of have to have Murlocs in your hand a lot in order to make
it kind of reduces the need to run a playset of the what do you call it? The one who makes everybody draw 2 cards. You know who I'm talking about. There's a Murloc that when it comes into play, both players draw 2 cards.
Yeah.
So you can use less of those. Oracle, maybe?
Yeah, something like that. Murloc, Oracle, something like that. But anyways, so like for example, with Paladin, I love it because Paladin, there's that one card you can hold that if your opponent has like 7 cards in your hand and you have 0, you get to draw 7.
Isn't there?
It's what.
Yes, exactly, and that's a great equality. Is it? No, not equality.
No,
it's lay on hands. But I was gonna say, sorry, go on. I keep interrupting you. Go on.
So no, if you can have the Murloc power with that and similar cards to that, like I could burn through 30 cards really fast and just build up my Murlocs and attack.
What about the actual? Do you have the actual Murloc hero power? Because isn't there an ability that replaces your hero power with summon a 1/1 Murloc?
Yeah, no, it's amazing, and they look like it's a paladin, and it looks like the little paladin warriors.
Oh, does it? That's adorable.
It's so funny. It's so funny. I'm trying to remember that one's name too, but anyways,
you have way more legendary like Murlocs and stuff than I do. I have Sir Finley and Patches.
I didn't even realize Patches was a Murloc.
Oh,
but,
he's a Murloc.
So the thing that shoots out, like the first time you have a pirate.
Yeah. What else would he be? Have you seen his teeth?
Yeah, I suppose.
Maybe I'm wrong. Let me double check, but I'm almost positive.
No, I mean, I think part of it is I just use a lot of my mana.
He is a pirate first. No, you know what? You're totally right. He's not a Murloc. I'm wrong. He's a demon. I'm trying to remember what they're called. He's like a tentacle demon. Like a beholder, basically, is what he is. My bad. You're right. I should look at my cards more closely.
I mean, either way, I think I probably whenever I had mana to spend, I probably spent it on Murloc cards just to fill up her stacks.
It sounds like that's kind of your bread and butter deck.
Yeah, I mean, I really like my Priest Dragon deck. I really like it, and actually in the new meta, I like it a lot. Again, probably because I moved away from Reno, and now I'm drawing cards that I need in order to there's just a lot of cards like if you're holding a dragon, discover a dragon, or discover something from the other class.
Sure,
which is very helpful.
I play more dragon and like pirate, but I'm with you on like I've always liked creature type decks.
Yeah, so going to the new meta, I think forced me like as much as I'm with you. Like it was a bad feeling, and
I didn't feel bad as a Magic player. I don't know that I felt bad per se. It was more like, well, back to square one.
Yeah, and I
was kind of okay with because this last season got pretty stale.
Well, it just became like all shamans.
It was shaman, and it was dragon warrior, and like it got. Oh, and also don't forget about the what was it? There was a warlock deck that was going really popular too. But anyways,
very aggro.
It was very. Everyone was just going for the face with every deck. I was ready for some change.
Yeah, so the way I look at it, I mean, I've gotten 8 or 9, I can't remember, of the 10 wins you need to get. So that, first of all, I haven't been playing it as much, just mostly time restraints. It's not that I don't like it.
Mm-hmm.
But the second thing is, like, yeah, I'm struggling early on here. Like, I'm learning my
That's
deck.
interesting.
I just kind of have gone with different philosophies. I still have Murlocs. I'm still part of.
Are you running the new Shaman quest? Because isn't that actually a Murloc quest?
I'm probably not there yet. I haven't got, like I said, I haven't gotten 10 standard wins.
That's not how you get the quest cards. They're just legendaries.
Oh no, I should.
Which is really shitty in my opinion. I already got my 10 wins. You just get a fucking new hero portrait for rogues that doesn't even make any fucking sense. Okay, mini rant. Go. Ready? Okay. They gave you a warden portrait for the rogue class. It makes no fucking sense. It's a different hero. It's a different class. It's fucking Maiev. It's Illidan's keeper. Like, I'm so annoyed that every time I see the portrait, I forget what class I'm playing against until they use their hero power. It's infuriating. That is not the same class as a rogue. She's a warden. She is the jailer of the demon hunters. She's Illidan's fucking warden. It's horseshit. Sorry. Rant over. But it drives me crazy.
Yeah,
but that's all you get for the 10 wins. You just get a portrait, and then the quest ends. There's no chain like there was in the last one. It was actually really, really disappointing. I didn't get even a free pack except for the 3 you got for logging in on day 1 or whatever.
Yeah, that sucks. I'm not thrilled that they've gone away with quests. I kind of like those, or not quests, sorry, adventures. I kind of like those.
Not thrilled. I'm furious. Fuck them. It's just a total anti-consumer move. They're like, oh, it's so we can release more cards. It's like, put more cards in a fucking adventure. This is the only way for poorer players or new players to jump on board to a game that you're hundreds of dollars in cards behind if you join this late.
Yeah, and that's the other thing, too.
It was guaranteed legendaries.
They're what?
It was guaranteed legendaries. It's the reason you and I were just both talking about Reno, Finley, Thessarian. All of those are fucking guaranteed adventure mode legendaries. In fact, they're all from the same fucking expansion except for Thessarian. Like, it's just ridiculous. Yeah, no, and so, I mean, as much as, I because I wanted certain cards, like, I really wanted to do I don't know if this is actually what you call it, but I call it a minion overload deck with the... Zoo is the term.
What's it called?
Zoo.
Okay, yeah, so I did that with... what's the guy that has choose one? The druid. So I wanted the legendary that allows your choose one cards to use both their power.
Oh yeah, that card is awesome. Oh, what is it? It's one of the keepers. Yeah, keep talking. Yeah.
So I really wanted to do a deck that implemented that card as well as the Jade Golems, because at a certain point you just
Fandral.
Yeah. Sorry. What now?
Fandral Staghelm.
Yeah, no. So I had some mana because I did buy 50 packs for this. I gave in to the man. And
listen, I didn't have any money, so I didn't buy 50 packs. And then I got paid after the expansion launched, so I spent $60 on fucking like 35 packs or 40 packs or something.
Yeah, it's the only time I really would buy packs just because you get value there. But
yeah. I'm just saying, like, I can't talk because I bought packs at fewer packs at a higher price, so right. I can't talk shit. And I only got 2 fucking legendaries. How many did you get?
How many did you get?
2.
I got 4.
That's about
4,
I guess.
4. Yeah,
that's about what I'd expect statistically. I got 2 shitty legendaries. Really shitty. Like the 2 worst legendaries from the expansion, I'd say.
Really? I'm trying to think of which one.
I got Ozruk, who is a 9 mana, I think 8/8, and he has a battle cry that he gets +5 health for every elemental that was played in your last turn, which is weird and not super helpful and way too expensive in an expansion that's really fast. Like, all the games are super fast now.
Yeah.
And then the other one I got was Elise Starbreeze, I believe is her name. And she's the one who she's like 5 mana, 5/5, I think, and she has the battle cry, add an Ungoro pack to your deck. And what it does is it's hilarious because it really highlights just how much of cheapskates Blizzard are. it's the way that the Ungoro pack works is it gets shuffled into your deck, and you draw it like any other card, and it costs 2 mana, and when you play it, it pops into 5 cards that are added to your hand, and at least one of them is guaranteed to be epic or better. Ironic, isn't it, that the legendary guarantees you an epic card, but buying packs with real life money only guarantees you a rare?
Yeah, no, that's ridiculous. So I don't know. I mean, I know you, like, I'm trying to remember what my original thought was here. I had that was a deck I wanted to create. I was able to use the mana because I bought all the packs in order to create that. Plus, I destroyed some cards that I wasn't using anyways. And then I'm trying to remember what else. I've done.
Are you doing well with it?
What now?
Are you doing well with your Fandral deck?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like so I also created a Warlock, just a really high aggressive deck, and I'd say I'm like 3 health points away from figuring it out because I always lose by like 3 to 5 points, and I'm like, I gotta figure out.
Gotta cool off on that tapping, bro. Maybe add a couple of minions with battle cries that'll restore some health.
Yeah, something like that.
We'll have to play after the show because I got some decks I want to flex.
Right, I know you'll probably laugh at the ones I have, but I am learning. I'm adjusting, and the problem is I'm used to going from fine tuning to like wholesale changes because sometimes I just realize like this doesn't work.
Yeah,
you know?
I don't really fine tune at all. I just do sweeping changes for the most part, and then like maybe at the end over the next week I'll swap out like 2 cards when I collect the rest of the set, but. I think I'm the opposite from you. Is I like theory craft the shit out of my decks for like an hour and a half before I make them, and then I make them, and they're pretty much in their final form. It sounds like you go more like throw it in there, see if it works, and if it doesn't, pull it out for something that does work.
Yeah, totally. So I just think it's yeah. I mean I think I like the change because it forced me to do decks that I like. It just. I don't know. The frustrating point is
you're
that I'm
not
not
used
winning
to
at the
that.
rate.
You're what?
I'm not winning at the rate that I used to be, and I guess that's what frustrates me.
So I'm not having that problem. In fact, I am fucking unstoppable this season. I'm running a Pirate Warrior deck. It was the first one that I built because I was running Pirate Dragon, you may remember, last patch. And yeah, I'm like... I mean, this isn't really anything to brag about, but you guys know I'm a very casual player, and I'm like rank 12 in Wild right now and rank 14 in Standard with just that deck. I've gone on multiple like 7+ game winning streaks.
Wow.
It often wins turn 4 or 5. Like, it's
I need to figure out Warrior because we talked about this last time. Warrior is the one I really haven't figured out, and maybe I need to get tips from you.
That's what happened, remember? Because I was agreeing with you. I didn't like Warrior for the longest time, and I'm still that way with Rogue. But I finally knuckled down and kind of dusted some old cards and spent some dust and actually crafted patches for 1600 dust and all that. And it really ended up paying off in spades, especially because I knew when I crafted patches, I specifically knew that he was a legendary that would stay in rotation this year. So I was like, this might be a card that I could use in more than one deck, because I see pirates in other deck types too.
Yeah. And it was nice having kind of excess deck or dust just from destroying cards that I wasn't using anyways. But
I didn't disenchant too much, because I do intend to do a lot of wild play. I'm actually really excited for Hearthstone in like 3 years, when we have a massive backlog. So here's the thing. Right now, wild sucks, in my opinion, and the problem with it is that there are too few cards still. We need a like Magic the Gathering sized card pool so that just anyone can go out and make a deck that can be competitive and is not already like, you know, online and being used by streamers. The reason that we have these like this is statistically the best possible deck type situations arising is because we have too small of a pool of cards. We need pools of cards where certain cards can like be similar enough that one can be beneficial in some situations and one in others, and people can make that distinction on their own when crafting. Right now it's just like, okay, do I take a card that is 2 mana for a 2/5 taunt or 2 mana for a 3/5 taunt? Tough call.
Right. No, and I think that's why I don't play Wild much. I've basically stuck to Standard because um, I know that once I win, once I get to level 17, let's say, someone just has the math figured out and I don't.
My thing is I use Wild as like my refuge from the current meta. Because I often get really tired of seeing the exact same decks in Standard over and over, and
Right.
so I'll go to Wild because you can see, like, I still see Reno locks and stuff in Wild. So, and it's also nice to just kind of see how the new meta competes with some of the older meta.
Yeah, no, and I'll probably now that yeah, I'll probably do that more. I probably should have in the last meta either way.
Well, honestly, the only reason that I'm playing quite so actively in Wild right now, I guess the other reason is that you guys know, or may not know, that Hearthstone is kind of the bread and butter in my YouTube channel. It's actually kind of been exclusively what I've been focusing on lately. And I'm trying to do a series right now on seeing how far we can get in Standard. So I'm trying not to play Standard unless I'm recording. And so when I'm not recording and I want to play, I play Wild. So that's the real reason I've been playing more Wild lately. It's just because I don't want to get really low in the rankings in Standard and be like, oh, forgot to record. Sorry, guys. I'm rank 11 now or whatever.
Right. No, I'm curious. I might play it just to do some scouting.
We're playing because I'm gonna smush you. Plus, I need to test out my. I have a couple of priest decks that I really want to play with, but I'm so low in the rankings. I know, so low again. There's probably people out there laughing at me because I'm at like rank 12, but it's good for me. And I'm so far down there that I can't experiment with any decks that aren't perfect because I've got down there with my warrior deck and I can't continue to progress at all with any other deck right now. Like, I don't have enough legendaries to do any of the quest decks or anything, so I'm like, if I don't play warrior and I try and play priest, I just lose like 3 matches in a row, but then I go back to warrior and I win like 5, so it's like, well,
yeah,
fuck,
no,
I need to play against like a human being that's not going to affect my rank, and I sure as hell am not going to play
regular or whatever.
What even is, I've literally never played it unranked. Fucking why would you play unranked?
The reason why I play it is to get wins. So if I only have things like the quests that require wins,
but why not just play ranked and get wins?
I guess my issue is once I hit 16 or 17, I pretty much get blown right back to 20. I need to figure out why that is.
But who cares? Because then you can just go back down to 16, right?
No, that's not the issue. It's just like in that day, if I want to win a quest, I'll just go play unranked.
I guess
towards the end of the last meta, I was almost automatically getting wins in that mode. So I'm like, well, I'll just go play 4 matches and I'll probably win 3.
Fair enough. Yeah. Well, that's cool. What are you thinking about the actual expansion itself? Like, enough about the rotation and kind of us adjusting to it, but like, how do you like the new card sets, the new quest cards and stuff, and some of the new abilities like Adapt?
Yeah, no, so the best adapt I have is it's a druid card that allows you to adapt all your minions.
Yeah, I have that card too. It's so good. It's like natural selection or something weird. No, it's not even. You go on. I'm going to look it up.
Yeah, it's something with a mushroom on it.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, if you have a whole bunch of minions on the board, it really, really helps out. It's not that great, obviously, if it's just 2 or 3, but I found it very useful. I've seen the quest cards used against me. Someone had
Evolving Spores.
Evolving Spores, that's it. So someone had a rogue, which again, the rogue is, I'm with you. I've had trouble figuring it out. So you have to play a card in order to have all your minions get 5/5 automatically.
Hold up, let me explain it because you're a little confused. What it is. So you play the quest card turn 1 for 1 mana, and the requirement you have to fulfill, first off, is you have to play a card with the same name 4 times.
Yep.
Which is weird. But the idea would be you'd like play something, shadow step it or sap it back to your hand, then play it again, then etc. Or make copies of it or something like that, which is a little more difficult now that Gang Up isn't in the game, or isn't in Standard. But the result is there's a quest reward called Crystal Core, I believe, and what it does is it makes it so that for the rest of the game, it's not even a card that sits on the field, it's just you play it, and for the rest of the game, all your minions are 5/5s.
Yeah, so what this person did, and I think they drew really, really well. They had the fairy, something ferryman, and then they had the brewmaster, and so they basically dropped the little pig with charge. They dropped. I know I'm describing these cards so poorly.
I
But,
hate Gadgets on Ferryman. You're talking about a Raging
yeah,
Boar.
yeah, Raging Boar. And so like they basically ferried the
Stone
boar.
Tusk Boar, sorry.
Yeah, Stone Tusk Boar. They ferried the boar or brewmastered the boar basically back into their hand enough to play it 4 times, and then they played Moros and like I forget. And so like
that I had that exact thing happen. Was it like a turn 5 quest victory?
Yeah,
Yes.
it was maybe not quite that fast, but it was very close to that.
I literally had a fucking match this week where a rogue got his quest activated on turn 5. And I was like, you fucker. Like, I just laughed.
Yeah,
I was like, you
that's
piece of
maybe-
shit. Like, that's just bad luck on my part. Like, in my opinion, the rogue quest might be the worst one. So, I can't believe, I couldn't believe that he accomplished it so quickly.
And you have to craft those rogue cards, or not the rogue cards, the quest cards. I mean,
Well, you can get them from boosters too, but yeah, they aren't like quest rewards, if that's what you mean.
yeah, no,
It's pretty shitty. I
Yeah.
think they should have given all of the quest cards to everyone, frankly, or at least let you pick one class and gotten that one guaranteed.
Yeah,
I liked
agree.
the way they did what was it called? The Cthulhu expansion, where everyone got Cthulhu if you participated in those starter quests. I really liked that quest chain too. If they're going to take away our adventures, the least they can do is give us special quests for each expansion.
Yeah, that I agree was very poorly done. No, so and I haven't seen it a lot more. That's the first time I really saw Rogue that just like work for me.
Yeah. Have you seen
but,
any of the other quests? Like any of the other ones giving you trouble? For me in particular, the fucking warrior quest is nightmarish to play against because it's like play 7 taunt minions, and so anytime you see that warrior quest go down turn 1, you're like, oh, I'm gonna be literally fighting a new taunt minion every single turn, and they're all like 2 8s.
What
with
is
the battle
the
cry? Discover a taunt minion.
What is right? What is the
It's maybe the most overpowered reward, if that's what you're going to ask.
No, and I'm wondering what the reward is.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Yeah, it's you get the Hammer of Sulfurous. You get Sulfurous, which is Ragnaros's hammer. It's a legendary weapon from World of Warcraft. It's a 2/4 weapon with the battle cry, replace your hero power with deal 8 damage to a random character, or to a random enemy character. It's fucking Ragnaros's ability, except you can use it during your turn, and it's only 2 mana.
Yeah, that's absurd.
Even if you destroy the weapon, they keep the hero power. I learned that one the hard way. I was like, I'm going to hold this acidic swamp ooze all game because I ain't dealing with that shit. And then he played it, and I was like, ha-ha! And then he still killed me with 8 damage and was like, wow, fuck, that's garbage. I should at least be able to get rid of the ability.
Yeah, I'm a little worried that this is going to be tough to play unless you really throw down money. And like, I'm a casual player. I don't think. No, you don't think so?
I mean, look at me. I threw down money for all the good it did. I came up with 2 legendaries, and I don't run either of them in any deck, and I'm doing fine.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and I'm curious. Again, it's probably too early to make really sound judgments on it, just because like my decks are probably going to change, between now and whenever I come on the show next.
Sure.
And like,
they will after tonight when I school you.
Right. I'll laugh if I win. I'll be like, what the hell happened? what went wrong? What went wrong for you?
Exactly. This isn't my pirate deck at all.
But I would say I'm having more fun playing it because when I was playing before, I was playing to win, which is you always get the rush from winning. But I'm like, man, I'm doing the same thing all the time. This is kind of I do like the new car smell, if you will, of just like I always wanted to run an aggro. Yeah, like run an aggro warlock deck or do the zoo druid or do the I'm trying to think. The dragon deck is pretty similar, but I'm having more fun with it. So
yeah, definitely.
That's ultimately what's right for me,
I agree, and you know what else I really like is I feel like unlike the last 2 expansions, really, there are more viable deck types for each class. I'd say I've seen 2 to 3 distinct types of deck from every single class except maybe rogue.
Yeah,
like
so I mean,
priest, I've seen maybe 4 even.
Yeah,
like sorry, just to clarify, meaning a quest deck meta, like a miracle priest deck meta, etc. Like completely different deck styles, but the same class.
In which case, I think they accomplished what they wanted, right? I mean,
I'm complimenting.
I hope this works.
I like it a lot because I think it's going to make watching it a lot more interesting, and playing in standard and stuff should be a lot more varied. It's not going to be just like, oh, another shaman, great.
Yeah, right.
Instead, it'll be, oh, another quest warrior, great.
Yeah, no, I hope they can even it out. I mean, what happens if they really messed up the quests? Like, is that just what we're going to have to deal with for the next...
I don't know. Yeah, I guess. Although, I think my argument would be, I don't know that the quests are going to necessarily all hold as, like, super effective. Like, I'm guessing that, especially once the next expansion drops, like, certain classes, people are going to be like, it's not worth doing their quest. In particular, I'd say there's a couple of quests that are not amazing. Like, the mage quest is garbage, okay? The reward is neat sounding, but the requirements are fucking outrageous. And I would say the same goes for the paladin deck. The mage deck, if I remember, I want to just make sure I'm right here, so let me just double check. So I'll say paladin first. The paladin quest is, you have to, it's like play 6 spells that target your minions to activate it, which is like insane. I mean, that's nuts to me. Like, that's a really difficult thing to fulfill when, like, your friends are, like, playing taunt minions. Like, that's way easier.
Yeah, no, that must be for... I've seen a lot of Paladin, even in the old meta, I saw a lot of Paladin, what's Divine Shield, where you just, like, every damn card you play is basically either, like, it's... You know, it shields your other minions, or it has a shield itself.
Yeah, or like,
and so maybe that kind of deck would benefit from that quest. I don't know.
And then the mage one, while neat, I think is not rewarding enough. Like, it's cast 6 spells that didn't start in your deck.
I saw
quest.
That.
That's weird, but not actually that hard with a mage, because there's a lot of, like, discover cards in mage decks. However, the reward is time warp, and time warp is take a second turn, which is pretty fucking good. However, in my opinion, it almost never activates. Casting 6 spells that didn't start in your deck, that's going to take you 7 or 8 turns. And I don't know about you, but my matches don't last 7 or 8 turns. My matches almost never make it to 10 mana.
Weird. I'm so worried that, like, I'm just completely off of, like, everyone else's...
Well, maybe, like, I'm just playing really fast deck types. I mean, Pirate is really fast, and then... I mean, even with my Miracle Priest deck, I'm, like, getting, like, 25/25s, like, turn 6.
Oh, God.
Well, it's a Miracle Priest. It's a Miracle Priest. That's what they do. It's like I'm Divine Spiriting, Inner Firing, you know, that kind of thing.
Yeah. Okay, so that makes
Calm down.
Yeah, no, I'm just like, damn, am I just, like, in a different, you know, like, it's kind of like I'm using a typewriter and everyone else is on the computer.
Yeah, and don't even get me started on my Demon Hunter deck. No, just kidding. There's a whole class you don't know about.
Right. No, I think I'm really curious if there's someone who, like, tuned in to hear about, you know, like, Minecraft or something.
You know what? They can deal. We always talk about what we've been playing the first half of the show, but you're probably right. Let's finish up our Hearthstone really quick with some last thoughts. I wanted to touch on Adapt really quick. I actually made a slight mistake explaining it last week, and kind of gave it a little less credit than it deserves. I implied that of the 9 different Adapt abilities, 1 is randomly chosen. That is incorrect. It's actually a Discover style mechanic. So if you have an ability or a minion with Adapt, you get it randomly picks 3 of the 9 Adapt abilities, and you get to choose which one will activate, which makes Adapt a lot more viable than I initially presented it. That said, I think Adapt is a pretty garbage ability.
Yeah, I think it's only useful in, like, with that, I can't even remember it, and you just said it, the mushroom card.
Evolving Spores.
Evolving Spores, yeah.
There's certain cards that I, like, give it a little credit where I'm like, that's okay or whatever, but by and large, like, there's a couple of taunt minions, I think, that it's kind of cool if you can give them, like, Divine Shield and bonus health or whatever, but by and large, I just have found it to be not super helpful.
Really big final thought. What the hell are elementals, and, like, how do you use them well?
So elementals are a creature type, heavily featured by shaman, mages, and priests, and think of them like pirates and all the others. And basically, they tend to have high attack, either high attack and low health, or low attack and high health. Think like, existing elementals, wind elemental, dust elemental, the one that the 3/1 wind fury.
Yeah.
You've got frost elemental, who's like a 2/6, I think, who freezes minions when he hits them. And the way the elemental works is elemental decks seem to work is very similar to like an overload style deck, where elemental abilities, additional elemental abilities, rather than it being if you have elementals in your hand or on the field, they activate based on the number of elementals you played, or if you played an elemental in the previous turn.
Okay. Yeah, so
I haven't seen any elemental decks being played yet, although I imagine that may be just because they require quite a few weird cards and are not necessarily super powerful just like right off the bat.
Yeah.
But I have seen some cool stuff.
Yeah, and I mean, outside of that, I think the only other thing is that, as you alluded to, it seems like the pace of game is sped up. And as much as I do actually like control decks and kind of setting people up, I think the pace of play was a little slow in the last meta. It kind of depends, obviously, on what you ran. But
yeah, it feels like creatures are getting so much more ability heavy that we don't need dedicated control quite as much. There's a lot less of like, oh, I have to run Whirlwind in my warrior deck, and a lot more of like, oh, I'm going to run this minion that pings all minions for 2 when he comes into play.
Yeah. And I do like that. Having said that, I mean, my dragon deck's a control deck, the priest one. It's maybe not as slow as it used to be, but
how in the hell are you still playing a dragon deck? The dragons Blackrock Mountain got phased out. What dragons?
No, I mean, there's still some useful ones.
There's like 4 dragons left in the game.
No, right. Although, again, like I feel like I held on to my dragons because they look cool, and then when I think back on it, I'm like, okay, I definitely I discarded them for dust. I took 2 out, Oof. And I'm like, yeah, I'm so much happier having like the thing for the druid or whatever.
Sure. But I will say my big dust regret this season. I always have one. I've had Alakir the Windlord sitting in my collection for like a year untouched, and I finally went fuck it and disenchanted him. And then the next day, Ungoro came out, and elementals were a type. So probably should have done a little more research there, because he was a legendary elemental, and I could have run him in one of my decks. But whatever, I guess.
Yeah, no. So, I mean, yeah, and I always wonder if I'm like, maybe I'll regret this. But to be fair, I'm playing for now. I mean, that's how it is.
Exactly,
right now.
Especially when they just phased out like 30% of the cards that were being used. I wouldn't sweat it too much. My focus was build one good deck, then have enough dust left over to have at least 1 or 2 half-decent decks. I ended up really with 1 great deck and 2 pretty mediocre decks, but it is what it is.
Yeah, so I mean, my dragon one doesn't have a lot of dragons in it. As the one that drops your health to 15, or you can...
Draconid Crusher! Technically, that is not a dragon. It's a Draconid, and I don't know why it is classified as a dragon in Hearthstone, but whatever.
And other than that, I mean, it's just a lot of Discover Dragons. The one card I thought about adding to that deck, and I'd have to get some dust in order to do it, is I do like the one that gives you a dream card, but I also kind of like just the random... Yeah, and at the same time, like, I feel like I get it anyways. Like, I feel like I've...
good.
Yeah, no, it's a matter of I try to keep...
Well, she's too late game, in my opinion. Like, it's like, she's too late game in my opinion. She's 9 mana to drop, and then you can't play your first dream card till at least turn 10. And if you didn't get a good dream card, then you can't play it till turn 11. And then if you haven't won by turn 11, well, I don't know.
Yeah, no, and so I think that's why I probably won't create her. It's just like, if I can get her at an opportune time, it's nice.
Yeah, you know I mean? Definitely wouldn't create her. Like, if I was going to create any dragon, it would probably be Malagos.
And which one's Malagos?
+5 spell damage.
Yeah, I've thought about that.
He's so brutal in like a lot of like mage control decks. Dude, you haven't lived until you've arcane missiled someone for 8 damage.
No, and I think, that card would help. I created a new mage deck that's actually built around, and this is another card I created, was what's the one that you get a fireball every time you
Archmage Antonidas.
Yeah, I was like, I need to have that card. So I
want that card so bad. I don't have it still.
Yeah, it's I still, again, it's like I'm workshopping a lot of my decks, but like when I would play a mage, I was like, I know they have that card, and I figured out how they were using it. But I feel like if I had that plus the +5 dragon,
do you run Medivh as well?
Which one?
Medivh, the legendary from the Karazhan adventure.
Yes.
With
So
ATS, the Great Staff of the Guardians.
Yep. I definitely have that card there too.
Yeah, that's a really good card too, and that combos extremely well because fucking ATS, like he's a 7/7, and his battle cry gives you ATS. It's Medivh's staff, the Guardian staff that everyone should know about, and it makes it so every time you cast a spell, you get a random minion for the same cost. It's so good.
Yeah, the one thing they took out Summoning Stone. I think that one was one that they deleted or whatever.
Who cares? Summoning Stone hasn't been good for fucking ages.
Well, you can combine those two though, which is kind of fun.
I mean, fair enough, I guess, but I mean, like,
Yeah.
Like, the thing that's nice about ATS is you're paying 7 mana for... Is it 7 mana for Medivh? 8 mana, sorry. And you get a 7/7 and a 1/3 weapon with that ability, whereas Summoning Stone is 5 mana for a 0/6 with that ability that can be killed.
Yeah, right. So I mean, that's a crucial. So I think having those two in the mage deck really helps.
Definitely. I would imagine so. Do you do a lot of, like, Discover type stuff in that deck, too?
Yeah, and a lot of, like, the Cabal, the thing where you can draw 3 mage spells, and the Babbling Book, I have 2 of those.
That sounds like a lot of fun, actually.
Yeah, so I will say this. I'm having more fun with Hearthstone, but if I continue to lose, that will change.
All right, we got to play some games so we can bring you up, get on my level, and then you'll be happy again.
Right.
Cool. Well, we are now 40 minutes into the show and have only talked about Hearthstone, so I'm going to move things along.
Yeah,
apologies, guys, if you're not a big Hearthstone fan. But we got to talk about it sometimes, and Brandon wasn't on, so no time like the present.
Yeah, exactly.
I did play another game this week that I definitely wanted to talk about. I finally got around to picking up PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds, which you guys may or may not have heard of. It's pretty huge on Twitch right now, but it's really a pretty specific community that is into these kinds of games. For those who are wondering about the weird title, PlayerUnknown is the modder he was like the lead designer of the DayZ mod for Arma. And he also worked with Sony on H1Z1, and this is his standalone Unreal 4 game. And what it is a massive battle royale game. Basically, it's an 8-kilometer by 8-kilometer world map. At the beginning of the match, 100 people are piled onto a plane. The plane does one buzz over the island, and at any time while it's flying over, you can parachute out the back. And wherever you land, you immediately start scavenging for resources and kill everyone till there is only one left standing. It is both quite fun and incredibly frustrating.
I like the idea behind that this dude just created a game, and it looks sweet just from the screenshots.
Yeah, it's actually a pretty good-looking game. Unfortunately, it doesn't run super well because it's not very optimized. It's still in early access and everything right now. But it's only $30, which didn't seem too bad to me. And they are doing quite a bit of updating to it regularly, which is great. But unfortunately, there are some pretty big performance problems on my system. Even though I can run it on Ultra, I have to bring it down to medium because for some reason I get like severe, like it's like this weird stuttering that is not lag per se. It's like more like if I sweep my mouse from the left side of my mouse pad to the right, like halfway along, my character will once jitter back to the left and then continue. But it's not really rubber banding either. It's too frequent to be rubber banding, and it happens even just to my character. It's really strange. I think it has to do with server issues because this game has sold so incredibly well. It's a $30 title in early access, and apparently in 2 weeks they've made over $15 million.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and it's like a 10-man dev team, so good for them.
Do you worry that like because they made so much money that they're not gonna does this person have so much trust that people are like, yeah, they're going to fix it, or do you worry that it's going to always have issues?
I think they'll fix it because this is the guy who made DayZ. I mean, this guy does have a history of continuing to work with mods, and unlike because there was a lot of work done on DayZ before he moved on, and I think it's still being developed by another team. But more importantly, this is his baby. I mean, his name is in the title of the game.
Yeah,
you
good
can't.
point,
If you know, that'd be if he wanted to ever develop again, it'd be a permanent black mark on his record that he just like abandoned a title. So no, I don't think so. And honestly, I don't want to even put that idea in people's heads because I get the impression that they're actually extremely responsive and have been releasing very regular patches that make pretty big improvements to like stability and stuff like that. Plus, I mean, how much can you honestly expect from an early access game set on an 8x8 kilometer island with 100 players on it at once?
Right.
I mean, it's not a goddamn MMO. We're talking about, like, think of like Battlefield can't even do that.
Huh. Yeah, I mean, like I said, outside of as long as you trust who this person is and like that they'll follow through with their game.
Within reason, I do.
The idea of it.
I trust him to follow through within me being comfortable dropping $30 on it, you know.
Right. I mean, I just think, like, this is just a positive thing for video games. Like, I just think beyond just, like, I know there's a lot of titles out there.
Sure.
But just having, like, the ability, I love the small group thing where...
Well, I think you may forget this, but most of the most successful video game franchises out there are based on mods from small mod teams. I mean, Counter-Strike, Team Fortress, fucking DayZ, obviously, which is its own genre now, fucking Dota. Like, all of those games were just mods for existing games made by small teams that then went out and created a fucking company and made millions.
Yeah. So that, to me, it's just like, I love that idea. That just like, it's obviously economical, or like it's especially for someone who you would, if they climbed up the ranks of a bigger company and just wanted to get away from the bureaucracy and maybe like be more creative than you could with like a AAA title. I just like the idea that that's a viable risk. You know what I mean? And yeah, it's like, I don't know, maybe I'm getting too far away from the game and the specifics, but like, I think that's worth saying or putting out there that it's just, I think it's a good thing for consumers in general that this is working.
I agree, and I'm excited to continue tracking it. I won't go talk about it too much because I've really only played like a couple hours of it. I think the highest rank I ever got was like 30th or like top 30, so not that good. But that said, once I've spent some more time with it, done some more tweaking of all of the video settings and stuff, and gotten some more consistent play out of it, I will come back and give some more thoughts.
Cool.
But before we jump into the news, I know you wanted to talk a little bit more about one other game you've been playing.
Yeah, so I mostly the other thing I've been playing, it's not necessarily a new game. It was Borderlands 2 and Tales of the Borderlands.
Nice. You finally got around to putting some time in?
Yeah, so, I mean, Borderlands 2 was free on Xbox probably a month ago, and it was around the time that I was supposed to be on the show, and unfortunately I had to, not unfortunately, I enjoy covering the Wolves, but I had to cover for our other basketball guy, and so yeah, I mean, it's not free anymore. I'm sure it's really cheap, and actually the bigger news with that is that it's backwards compatible on Xbox, because unlike us, or unlike you, the PC Master Race, we have to worry about backwards compatibility.
I can't even imagine.
By the way, this show got a big shout out on our football show because some guy he calls himself PC Master Race with the 3 is the E at the end. He called into our show. It's his Twitter handle or whatever. And I was telling him, hopefully he's listening right now. I told him you got to listen in because that was yesterday. I was like, Thursdays we do this. So I don't know. Big shout out if you're listening to this show. But
for sure.
Anyways, I had to worry about backwards compatibility, and I think I had told you like I had played through parts of Borderlands 2 and hadn't finished it, and I'm enjoying it kind of the second time around as much as I haven't dug into the new content as much. It's just kind of a fun, it's a fun humor. It's a great art style. I could tell why it was Game of the Year. I don't remember when it was released. I'd have to look it up, but I like it a lot. And then Tales of the Borderlands just makes me wish that Telltale had more success. I mean, how do you classify this? I don't know a ton about them. But...
I mean, Telltale has a ton of success. They are the #1 adventure game producing company. They made, let's just think really quick back on their catalog. They have 2 full 5-episode Walking Dead titles. They made a Batman title. They made Tales from the Borderlands. They made the Fable games, the Wolf Among Us series, that is. They did and at least one or two other series that I'm not thinking about at the top of my head. So no,
Yeah.
I would say they're extremely successful.
So
But I think, if anything,
yeah.
I think they're kind of tired at this point.
Yeah, or maybe. So first of all, maybe it's tired is the word I should have used.
Well,
And
I'm
then
saying, in my opinion, I find them rather tired. I mean, because they don't innovate.
Yeah, no, and I've heard the same complaint from other people. I like the scope where, like, with Tales of the Borderlands, you're focused on two characters, and like
It's
their
not
families.
like a universe-ending threat or anything like that.
No, I mean, it's just like it's so funny that you can be placed in this really odd world where there's a ton of technology up at Hyperion. So you're following this Hyperion guy, which is the big corporate company or whatever, and then you have two ladies, a pair of sisters from Pandora, which is like kind of the it seems kind of like a crappy planet, basically.
Pandora is the setting of the Borderlands series. You don't need to explain all that.
Yeah. But I mean, just so they create some contrast, obviously, with the two main characters, and then
It's a great
setting,
like odd couple setup.
Right, and just like a weird setting, but like a really fun but really odd setting. But it feels very like close to home because like the character interaction seems very genuine, and at the same time funny. And it's.
Do you think I didn't get your hopes up too high with it, saying it's my favorite Borderlands game? Did I? Like, are you actually enjoying it and stuff?
No, I like it better than Borderlands 2.
Well, I'm not asking you if it's your favorite Borderlands game, because I'm not trying to hold you to my standard. I'm just curious how much you're enjoying it, and I want to make sure I didn't get your expectations too high.
No, I like it a lot. I think it lived up to the kind of the hype, and actually, again, it's like you and a few other people have told me, like, you have to play this game. The humor really clicks with the kind of humor I like. I really like the characters. I think sometimes if you have humor, you don't have character development, and sometimes if you have character development, it gets too serious. They balance that out, and then
plus,
it's compelling.
like, Tom, Loaderbot.
Yeah, I mean,
Tom, but Loaderbot though.
Yeah, no, there's brilliance. There's brilliance in this game, and a lot of it's centered around a robot. But no, I mean, like, even Scooter I recognize from Borderlands 2, and I think like he's
in the original as well, and the pre-sequel.
Okay.
No, I don't think he makes it to the pre-sequel though.
Yeah, so I played the original, and I don't think it's as fun. I think Borderlands 2 is a little better, but
well, the original was really like a proof of concept. Looter shooters were not nearly as popular as they are nowadays.
Yeah, but I mean, either way, so I think for someone playing today, you can play the first episode for free. You will know by the end if you want to play. Like I was like, I have to get this, and it's
exactly that's what happened to me too. I played the first section of it and was like, okay, I'm just gonna buy all the rest of the episodes right now.
Yeah, so that's what I did, and it's probably cheaper on PC. It was like $15 on Xbox, which is pretty reasonable.
I think it's about what I paid. I might have gotten it for 10 on a Steam sale or something, but yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, it's totally worth $15. What I wish is that, like, I don't know, this maybe it wouldn't work out as well, but I wish they did this more, where you kind of have like a more standard game like Borderlands 2, and then they change the scope. Like, I'm thinking like Deus Ex would be kind of interesting. That's very like dialogue based, or maybe even like Mass Effect. Just like follow one character really, really close. With a Telltale type game. I don't know. What are your thoughts on that?
So, like, kind of like a day in the life of a normal character in a universe they've created.
Yeah.
I think that'd be fun and kind of interesting. I feel like the best way to kind of put that in would be if they maybe did like a cutscene or something where they humorously follow a character around or something like that. I'm not sure it would work in all universes. I definitely agree that I think it would be interesting. Personally, I don't know about the Deus Ex one, but
yeah. I mean, I'm trying to think of what
maybe Dishonored would be a cool one. Like, how about following like a whaler like out to sea and then back?
Yeah, I think Dishonored, cool. You could do something with that.
It's all for me. It's about like, if you make a cool world, if you can build a cool enough world, I'm willing to spend time in it outside of the normal setting. But you got to be careful of that, because what you're describing to me sounds an awful lot like Mass Effect Andromeda, which I despise for that reason. Is like, it feels like the day in the life of just some random dude now. Like, now you're just some explorer. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think so. With Dishonored, I think that's a great point. Like, it's a world you want to spend time in, and it's also like, I think characters in that have interesting lives because you're living day to day. Like, everyone's doing that.
Exactly. And I think part of it, too, is having stories that focus on the little guy. I mean, Borderlands is filled with NPCs who are, like, one-off jokes, and, like, the psychos are just a comedy of tragedy. You know what I mean? Like, it's like the whole humor of, like, the psychos is that they're idiots who often kill themselves for useless and pointless reasons.
Yeah, so, I mean, really...
So, like, it's intriguing, and it's funny, and it's slapstick. So, like, I think that setting really lends itself to it.
No, you're right. I'm just thinking with like Dishonored, what you could do is do like a very you could be someone who's like at the bottom of society and maybe like they climb up or something. And if you like with choice and consequence, you can end up like living in a palace, or you can end up like back where you started.
Would you want it to be an adventure game, a la like a Tales game, or are you saying you'd like a totally different genre of game here?
I think the Telltale genre, or the Telltale formula would work.
Okay, well then in that case, I'd say just check out the other Telltale games, because that's what most of them are, like Batman and all that. Like that's exactly what that is.
Yeah, I'm just thinking like I just like this
more established franchises.
Well, no, and it's just like I really like the Dishonored universe. Like I want to spend more time
specifically, you'd like to see a Dishonored one. Gotcha.
Yeah, where Deus Ex is the opposite. Like I actually like the dialogue of that game, but they didn't make the settings that interesting. So if you could make the settings more interesting, I feel
like almost the whole backdrop of Deus Ex is that it's a boring, like hyper corporate setting. You know what I mean?
Right. I mean, maybe in Detroit. I think Detroit, or even
you're right. I think it would depend. What I'd want to see from them would be like, how about like a week after all the augmented went insane, and you're just like an augmented guy who's being like harassed, and it's you just like going through his story for 24 hours until he's like, I don't know, beaten to death, or somebody steals his leg or something. Maybe like if they turned that commercial for Mankind Divided into a Telltale game.
Yeah, there's something to be done there.
Definitely.
Like I said, it's really the dialogue base, and this is my problem with new Mass Effect Andromeda, is that like I like the old games because the dialogue was so good and you got to know the characters. I mean, I think you could just take like someone who kind of a Luke Skywalker type story where it's like some dude on a planet who like just lives a normal life and like maybe like gets trashed and ends up in a like in the Normandy or something. It's like, okay, how do I get back?
Have it like turn out like halfway through the game that one of the throwaway NPCs you talked to in Mass Effect 2 or something is the protagonist.
Yeah, I mean, I just think like you could have some fun with it, and at the same time, like it's the same. At least the appeal of the old Mass Effect, where like I could just see something where it's completely different societies, right? You have like someone whose life is very small. Like they may not know what their planet is called because they've never left there.
Sure.
Right?
Or even just, I get it. Even just like the whole Tales from the Borderlands thing, where it's just a much smaller story. It's a story of two people instead of a story of the future of the galaxy.
Yeah, it's like, how do I get home? And maybe the choice and consequences, like maybe you don't ever get back if you like maybe you choose to join the crew, or on one hand you're like, hey, I'm just gonna go back to like mining for minerals or whatever the hell Mass Effect people do. So I really wish. I guess this is my like core concept here beyond just like check this out is I would be very interested in. I think of those three franchises that I really like, kind of old Mass Effect, Dishonored, or Deus Ex, like doing something around that and just scaling it in really close to someone who would be otherwise inconsequential in the game, in a bigger game.
Definitely. I agree. I'm going to go ahead and actually cut our convo short here, though, because we are at 58 minutes and we haven't even started the news yet. So we're going to take a quick break here, but don't go anywhere because we'll be right back with the news. And we are back. All right. So we have done plenty of coverage on the games we've been playing, so let's get into the news here. And first up, we have some new Overwatch news. Pretty big new patch just dropped, and they are adding in a ton of new stuff. First up, and most excitingly in my opinion, is a new co-op Brawl. It's set 7 years in the past, and you are fighting during the Omnic invasion, which is pretty cool. You're fighting you're quelling, an uprising led by Null Sector, a rogue group of Omnics. And you can play as Tracer, Torbjorn, Reinhardt, or Mercy. It works very similar to Junkenstein's Revenge. And then also they added a secondary mode where you can play as any hero, but that's not the official Brawl. It's pretty cool. I don't think either of us have a chance to play this yet. Is that correct, Tom?
Yeah, I definitely wanted to get on it.
Yeah,
More
maybe
than
you and I
anything.
can play it this weekend or something, and we'll talk about it.
Yeah, no, in some personal news, I finally figured out I talked to one of my friends in California. I was there a while back, into getting Overwatch. He got so hooked, he like got his friends into it. A few of them were already playing, and then a few like he got into it. And so finally, now this is only four people, right?
Yeah.
Four versus
Yes,
but
this is a four-man team.
it is such a difference when you can play six and
Oh,
know
nice.
every other
You have a
person.
fully stacked team now?
Yeah, and even like they like 3-on-3, so like if we
Sure.
if we have a smaller group, we can play that. But
What a
God,
difference
oh my
a
God, oh my
mic
God.
makes.
Yeah, oh my God.
Like,
it's
having
just so nice,
communication
not-
with your team is maybe the most overpowering, like, buff you can get.
Oh, I know, because you're not playing with some like 13-year-old. I mean,
Even if it's
don't
just stuff like, hey guys, let's push together.
right, or even like what I find myself doing is evaluating the other team. So I'll be like, they're one of their characters is really good. Like they clearly have a weak link over here or whatever. But I think that's going to be incredibly useful for this co-op mode because the last one was super fun, but I had no idea what anyone else was doing.
Sure. It's nice that since there's only 4 champions, you have pretty established roles, but even then, communication is just so helpful.
Yeah, and I like that they allow you to use other characters. I know it's kind of not the official thing, but I loved Junkenstein, but like towards the end, it was like I'm so sick of like I know what I have to do with this character, and I'm so sick of doing it.
Right.
so I hope they do more and more of these because I think I would call this like PvE, right? I mean, I think that
yes, exactly. That's what I'm so excited about. Is this is something for me? Like, as a not a very competitive guy and someone who's kind of fallen off of my Overwatch skills because I haven't been playing much. This is really interesting and intriguing to me because I can brush up on my skills and have fun without just getting pounded into the dirt every game.
Yeah, no, I mean, and I'm in the opposite kind of camp where like I thrive off of the competitive side, especially now that I can win of Overwatch. But I'm with you. I mean, I just think at the end of the day, like even knowing the other people, like I think we're going to get into competitive mode. I actually haven't done it a ton. We've been doing more like capture the flag or just stuff like that, mostly to get loot boxes. But
Of course.
we're going to get to a certain point. We're just going to get spanked. Like there's people who play this way more than we can or do.
For sure.
So I like having a mode like this where, you're just kind of playing against yourself. And I hope I'm really excited to jump into this, and I hope there's more to come.
Me too. And speaking of playing for loot boxes, actually, they are also they've added over 100 new cosmetic items, including some really cool classic skins. I think Torbjorn's my favorite because he's just like a grease monkey. Like, he's just like a dude. He's not a dwarf, I don't think, even, which is fantastic. So yeah, check out the classic Overwatch skins. They're pretty fantastic. But then they also added a ton of new sprays and other junk to clog up your ability to get any of those skins.
Yeah. So one real quick question, like, why can't you just go buy a skin? Like, why don't they let you do that?
Because they make more money when it's random. I mean, why can't you just buy a Hearthstone card?
I suppose that
You
suppose
can
that's
just
really
buy a
fair.
skin with gold, but you can only get gold by buying packs and getting it randomly. Just like in WoW, you can only get dust by disenchanting cards from packs.
Yeah, I suppose that makes sense. That just pisses me off.
It's a anti-consumer business model that I fucking loathe, but it is what it is. At least we get all our champions, right?
Yeah, that's true. And to be fair, I haven't spent any money on Overwatch, so why am I complaining? But
Me neither. So, but I mean, it is frustrating when you're working hard all night and you get like 3 loot boxes and like 4 of the items that you get that night are repeats or whatever, or just sprays you'll never use.
yeah, exactly.
Goddamn voice packs. But yeah, that's pretty exciting. Check it out. The event runs until May 1st. However, I think this should fall into the category of stuff that will be getting added to the custom games modes as well. Because if I remember correctly, they were saying like all future brawls and stuff would be added to those custom server options, right?
Yeah.
Like CTF did. So yeah, I look forward to checking it out with you this weekend, and we'll talk more about it next week.
Cool.
Next up, we had an awesome surprise this week. I don't know if you guys followed on April Fools that there was a joke teaser and clock that was counting down to the surprise release of a Bayonetta port for PC. Fucking crazy. Like, that's awesome.
This is kind of cool.
I love this. Nobody was expecting this. Nobody was like, I mean, people have asked for it for years because Bayonetta is maybe the best spectacle fighter IP to come out, God, since Devil May Cry. And so, I mean, I know a lot of God of War fans probably just got very angry, but I stand by what I said. And I have been waiting to play it on PC for ages. I can't wait to pick it up here. I'm going to be probably checking it out this weekend or something. But yeah, it supports resolutions up to 4K. It launched at $20, and it runs at 60 FPS.
Yeah, just be nice to consumers, and this is being nice to consumers. I like it.
My one sad note is, while it's amazing that we got Bayonetta on PC, I would not expect Bayonetta 2, because that was a second-party title published by Nintendo. It only got made because Nintendo paid for it to get made for the Wii U exclusively, if I remember right. So it's unlikely we'll be seeing that ported to any other consoles. But at least we got the original, right?
Nice.
Pretty exciting. A lot of people are probably very happy. If you didn't know about it, check it out. Next up, we have some less consumer-friendly news. Minecraft is going to be launching a marketplace to sell modded content, third-party creation. This is extremely concerning to me. Basically, Minecraft wants to add in a marketplace where certain high upvoted creators can sell content they've made. And there's going to be stuff like maps and skins, there can be mods, and there can also be texture packs and stuff, and you can purchase them with Minecraft coins, which cost real-life money. In the past, I, as a very, very heavy Minecraft modder myself, you have gone to the Minecraft forums where mod makers post their creations, and you can click and download there. They're often supported through AdFly links and stuff like that, which isn't a ton of cash, but it's something at least. And the mods were free to download. I can't think of any mods that actually had a pay to play system. But all the mod creators did accept donations. This is another sticky situation where I'm like, cool, people could theoretically make some money off of, producing modded content for a video game. But at the same time, I'm like, what the fuck? This is what happens when you sell Minecraft to Microsoft. They immediately find a way to add microtransactions.
Yeah, I mean, I think if it ends up becoming a situation where you can make a decent, again, I don't think you can make a living, but decent income from modding if you're really good at it, I'm on board. The issue is I think it would have to come to a point where someone could negotiate, and how are you going to negotiate with
Well, you
Microsoft?
Can't negotiate. You set the price, and you get 50% of the profits, which is pretty shitty if you ask me.
Yeah, and so that's my point. Is I think anyone who does this, I don't know, maybe
why the fuck are they paying Microsoft at all? You don't need. A lot. It's not like these people are paying hosting costs to upload stuff to MediaFire and stuff like that. Or if they are, it's a $10 a month subscription. I don't understand the idea of Microsoft taking such a massive cut for what.
Yeah, no, that's my point. Is I feel like
let's be honest, people aren't downloading mods for Minecraft because they're on a store page or because they're visible. They're downloading them because their favorite YouTubers are playing with them.
Yeah, so I just wonder if there's someone, some of those YouTubers, someone with a big following, might have the leverage to be look, I'm not taking this deal.
His name is Direwolf20, and I've watched him for fucking 10 years now almost.
Yeah, and I guess
there are dedicated Minecraft, and if you guys haven't checked out Direwolf20, I highly recommend it. If you ever want to learn anything about modding in Minecraft, he produces mod packs. He works with Pahimar and a lot of the big modders. For Minecraft, he worked on the Feed the Beast launcher, among other things, for launching fully modded versions of Minecraft that don't require you doing a bunch of clicking and dragging and dropping. Check out his videos to learn how to mod and how to play with mods. But yeah, I mean, those people do exist. I'm happy at the potential of creators making money. I hate the idea that Microsoft takes such a large cut, and I hate the idea of having to pay money for a fucking texture pack, because I could make anybody could. I shouldn't say anybody. It's not that difficult to make a Minecraft texture pack. The textures aren't that complicated. They're fucking 8-bit.
Yeah, no, that's really fair. I don't know. I guess I'm caught up in this idea that maybe if you have like a huge Twitter following, a huge Twitch following, like you could negotiate and be like, look, you get 5. And if I was Microsoft, I'd be like, yeah, I'll take 5% because you're making more
You're
for that one model than
Microsoft.
everyone else. I'm not Microsoft.
If you're Microsoft, you don't negotiate.
Yeah, no, that's why I'm not on board with it. I guess I like the.
Well, here's
like
the other
I
thing,
don't like the term.
and I should have highlighted this earlier. I apologize. This is only something that's going to be on Xbox Live on the on the Windows 10 and mobile versions only. So the standard PC version won't be affected by this. However, and I don't think the iPad version either. However, any of the like Microsoft branded versions, for example, the one I run for VR, will be affected by this.
Yeah, so I like the idea. I don't like the terms.
Yep, me too. Anyway, well, I don't even really like the idea, but it is what it is. It's happening, right. And I guess I'm just going to have to deal with it. But yeah, so that is a thing. Next up, we have some weird news. Everyone's favorite game developer, CD Projekt Red, the creators of the Witcher series, have successfully gotten the trademark for the word cyberpunk.
This is sketchy.
This is weird. This is weird for a number of reasons. So first up, the case that they make is that they literally have to get the trademark, and they're not wrong actually. Like looking into it, if they didn't get this trademark, they're making Cyberpunk 2077 the game right now. They make the point, what would stop anyone from legally making a game called Cyberpunk 2078 and selling it?
Right, but it's not a conditional trademark, right? It's a straight up you own that name, right?
Well, you own that name in your field. So like what they said what they said was they're not going to be dicks about it basically. What they said was they gave actually a really good example in this article I have here. They said we want to protect our hard work and we don't plan on using the trademark offensively. It's a self-defense measure only. And then they give the example of if someone wanted to make a game called, for example, John Smith Adventures Set in a Cyberpunk Dystopian Society, or 20 short video games set in cyberpunk worlds, they wouldn't treat that as infringement. What they're saying is they're trying to prevent people from literally making a game called like Cyberpunk 2078, or a game that like has the same name's protagonist and is called like the new Cyberpunk or whatever. It's and they don't have any protections over like books or board games or anything else called Cyberpunk. It's worth noting too that Cyberpunk 2077 is based on a board game called Cyberpunk 2077.
No, 2020, I think.
No,
isn't it?
No, it's 2077. No, you're right. It is 2020. I apologize. But they had the trademark previously, so it was actually already trademarked and nobody really realized. This is a weird one. I do trust CD Projekt Red. They're the most consumer-friendly company I've basically ever heard of. I really, really enjoy a lot of their work, and I've never really felt burned by them. That said, this does make me nervous. I don't like American IP law. It really needs to be updated, in my opinion, because, frankly, cyberpunk should be considered a genre term similar to, like, Saga was. Or wait, was Saga? Yeah, similar to what Saga was when Candy Crush tried to get the trademark.
Yeah, so I'm with you. I think this is very interesting. I think it's a really fun, like, for lack of a better word, thought exercise just on kind of IP and stuff. But yeah, it's just you trust them now. What I'm concerned with is, and they're probably financially solvent and would not sell, but like if they were to sell to someone else, like all of a sudden they have that trademark and maybe they're going to be jerks about it. That's what I'm concerned about. But.
Well, you're right, but at the same time, there's actually a comment I saw that was really prescient here, where they basically said like, how are we going to complain about Cyberpunk being trademarked but not Battlefield?
Right, completely.
Like there does come a point where you can understand why it's being trademarked. I don't know, it's complicated. Like you said, it's a good thought exercise. In this case, I'm willing to give CD Projekt Red the benefit of the doubt here, but it's kind of ironic when you consider that like cyberpunk societies themselves are supposed to be like usually like hyper authoritarian futures controlled by corporations.
Yeah, I actually had that thought. And
so
you articulated it better than me. Yeah, that's really funny.
I don't know. Anyways, though, definitely something to keep an eye on. I don't know about you guys. I'm pretty excited for this game, but we're not going to be seeing it for quite a while yet. So for now, just we'll keep your ear to the ground, and we'll let you know if anything comes of the trademark. Next up, we have an update. Actually, last here. Sorry. We have an update for you guys on my lengthy G2A rant from last week. I basically explained why I have such extreme problems with G2A. For those who don't know, basically, quick summary, it's a gray marketplace. It takes advantage of like fraud protection type stuff and burns developers, and developers have actually come out and said things like, we'd rather you pirate our game because at least then we don't lose money.
Yeah, this was a great conversation from the last episode.
I highly recommend checking it out if you guys haven't heard it. That said, we have an update to the story. So I had mentioned that the YouTuber Total Biscuit had actually reached out to Gearbox and said, yo, like, I'm boycotting y'all until this gets addressed because you guys should not be supporting these shady fuckers. And Gearbox actually came out and, like, talked with him. And after their conversation, they went back to G2A and were like, hey, so we just heard you guys are, like, shiesty as hell. Like, you guys, they gave them a ridiculous set of commitments to meet that they could not possibly have met. And I'm going to run down these here for you guys. There were 4 demands that were made, and these were made, like, a day or, like, 24 hours before the game was supposed to launch. Here are the demands. Before Bulletstorm Steam launch, G2A makes a public commitment to this. Within 30 days, G2A Shield, aka Customer Fraud Protection, is made free instead of a separate paid subscription service within terms offered by other major marketplaces. All customers who spend money deserve fraud protection from a storefront. To that end, all existing G2A Shield customers are notified by April 14th that fraud protection services are now free and they will no longer be charged for this. So if you guys don't remember, G2A Shield is a really fucking shady protection that you can pay for as a monthly service that they will give you your money back if you buy a key through them and it's a counterfeit key or an invalid key. It's so fucking shady. And so they're basically demanding that they remove that as a paid service and make it a default service for all users, which makes sense. Second demand. Before Bulletstorm's Steam launch, G2A makes a public commitment to this. Within 90 days, G2A will open up a web service or API to certified developers and publishers to search for and flag for immediate removal keys that are fraudulent. This access will be free of charge and will not require payment by the content holders. So basically, you can become like a partner with these guys, but that also has an associated cost. And there's no real easy, clear, or like successful way that people have found to report that their own game has illicit copies being sold on G2A.com. So they're demanding that they've set up a service so that people can take down fraudulent keys. Ridiculous. Next up, before Bulletstorm's Steam launch, G2A makes a public commitment to this. Within 60 days, implement throttling for non-certified developers and publishers at the title, user ID, and account payable levels for fraud flagging process. This is to prevent content providers from having large quantities of stolen goods flipped on G2A before they can be flagged. Basically saying, if the day of launch one vendor puts up 1,500 copies of a game's keys, and you haven't gotten a potential fraud alert from the developer, you should already be throttling the speed that they can post those and sell them. And it's a protection for the developer so that it can prevent chargebacks like I talked about last week. Completely reasonable. Finally, before Bulletstorm's Steam launch, G2A makes a public commitment to this. Within 30 days, G2A restructures its payment system so that customers who wish to buy and sell legitimate keys are given a clear, simple fee structure that is easy to understand and contains no hidden or obfuscated charges. Join the ranks of other major marketplaces. This has been an issue on both sides. Multiple reports of as people continue clicking through like their shopping cart and purchase options, the price increasing, like as they add more and more fees to it that were not part of the list price. And also sellers making less than they were expecting to from the sale of games because of fees being applied to, like, for the service of it being hosted, the sale being hosted. Basically asking them to not be shitty. Yeah. So that was the list of demands that they gave G2A, and G2A was in talks over the weekend trying to see what they could meet and, probably to negotiate. And as of the 7th at about 2:10, Gearbox came out and said that they haven't seen nearly enough public change from G2A, and so they are removing themselves from the partnership. The quote is, "As there has been no public movement from G2A by the time Bulletstorm Full Clip Edition launched now on PC, Gearbox Publishing will be doing their part to not directly support a marketplace that did not make the new public commitment to protecting customers and developers requested by Gearbox Publishing. We do not control G2A's marketplace or where they may obtain keys from other parties outside of Gearbox Publishing, but we can confirm that today we have begun executing on our extraction process." So basically, outrage on the internet has won the day again, you guys. Good job, everyone. Internet Hate Machine won, everyone else 0.
Yeah, I mean, I think it said everything in that last show when you mentioned the name of it, and I didn't know what it was. So,
and when I was able to rant about it unadulterated for 20 minutes straight off the top of my head.
And not only that, but just Brandon's reaction. I was like, oh, it must be really bad.
It's really bad. G2A is the worst. If you haven't seen G2A, please don't go after streamers who are necessarily promoting G2A. Maybe send them an email if you feel strongly about it, just letting them know the company that they're working with. But a lot of these guys are stuck in contracts and didn't realize what they were signing up for. But the largest group of G2A advertising you'll see is going to be YouTube videos and actual YouTubers who run G2A links. Again, you guys, if you're looking for a cheaper place to get keys, there are plenty of authorized resellers like GOG, Green Man Gaming. I guess GOG wouldn't count because they don't have Steam keys, but like Green Man Gaming or the Humble Store. I recommend, again, using Is There Any Deal because that is only a list of authorized Steam resellers. Amazon is also pretty good. Don't buy used keys online unless it's through a proper service. eBay is not a way to handle software keys.
No, good stuff here. I mean, I just think people need to be warned about it, and I think at the end of the day, if you have to send someone a whole list of demands like this, probably you shouldn't be working with them. But
yeah, exactly. I almost wonder at this point, with the degree of flip-floppery that Gearbox pulled, if this wasn't just a marketing stunt.
Yeah, it's interesting.
It's nuts. Anyways, though, that's really all I have to say about it. I think the quotes really tell the whole story on their own there. But, yeah, that actually is pretty much going to do it. This has been Procedurally Generated. We hope you've enjoyed listening to the show. Please be sure to check us out on Libsyn and iTunes, where you can leave a rating or review. If you prefer to watch the show on YouTube, you can always catch the audio on my channel, lesser.noob, that's N00B, or just search Henry Plays. Like I said, I'm currently doing a Journey to Ungoro run, where I am seeing how far down the standard ranks I can get with my pirate deck. So if you're interested in that, check it out. You can also follow us on Twitter at PG_show. Thank you guys so much for listening, and as always, game on.